Well, Northeast Ohio, here it is, Monday, election eve.
Crazy.
There's a little buzz that's going on around town, inside, outside, and beyond. But we want to say thank you so much for joining us here on What's New. I'm Betsy Kling.
And I'm Laura Queso. That's right, the countdown to the election is on.
It's hard to believe, right?
Crazy.
It's less than 12 hours from now that folks are going to be headed for the polls. Actually, we're just a little over 12 hours. I think the polls open at 6:30 in the morning. Anywho, citizens of Ohio will have the opportunity to vote, and the outcomes could impact the makeup of Congress. But there's a few things that you should know before heading to the polls. Neil Fischer joins us live outside the Board of Elections. So, Neil, what advice do you have for voters tomorrow?
Hey, good afternoon, Betsy. One thing voters need to be prepared for is that they have a specific location where they have to cast their ballot, and that's what they need to be prepared for. The Cuyahoga County Board of Elections told me earlier today that they have 4,000 people ready to administer the countywide election process. They've been hired, trained, and placed, and they tell me you should be ready to vote as well.
If you can study a sample ballot, that way when you're in the voting booth, you don't feel rushed or anything like that, that you kind of know what you're going to see on the ballot. You can make your decisions ahead of time. You can research the candidates and issues instead of reading about them for the very first time.
The Cuyahoga County Board of Elections website has those sample ballots for you, as well as the specific locations you need to visit to cast your vote. The polls do open at 6:30, Betsy. You were correct, and they close at 7:30 tomorrow night.
All right. Well, Northeast Ohio has been a very popular spot for a lot of candidates today. Who was stopping by, and what did they have to say about this midterm election that's coming up?
Well, Governor Mike DeWine was here in Cleveland earlier today. He stopped by Cleveland, Terminal Tower, and then out to Bay Village and Rocky River. And also, U.S. Senate candidate Tim Ryan was in town at the Cleveland Metropolitan Housing Authority, spending some time with City Council President Blaine Griffin. They each had a message to share with Northeast Ohioans.
This is just kind of retail politics where I had the chance to not only talk to people, but just listen, hear what they have to say and what their concerns are.
We got momentum all over the state. We've got a ton of Republican crossover. The Democratic base is very energized. We want to represent everybody.
The candidates were shaking hands and sending that one last message to the voters before they get a chance to pick who represents them. The governor told me earlier today that shaking hands with folks here in Northeast Ohio and throughout the state is really the best way to introduce yourself to the voters and get yourself out there to the people. Of course, Tim Ryan and himself doing that today. Nan Whaley was down in Kent. We know that Tim Ryan went down there after he visited Cleveland, as well as the governor mentioning to me that he'll be in the Cincinnati and Columbus area tomorrow.
Their hectic schedules are truly crazy. It's a tizzy right here at the end of the season, but tomorrow's the big day, so hopefully folks are well informed before they hit those polls. Neil Fischer reporting live for us tonight. Thanks, Neil.